Ba-da-da-da. If I ever was a billionaire, I wouldn't be a billionaire for more than a day. I would give away most of my money.
You know that feeling when someone keeps digging themselves deeper into a hole, and you're watching, whispering, "Please, just stop talking"? That was the internet this week. Grab some popcorn because Pokimane didn't just dig a hole, she turned it into a crater, and it doesn't look like she's anywhere near bedrock. In the span of days, she went from criticizing capitalism as toxic and self-centered to being accused of hypocrisy for flaunting a lavish lifestyle, facing backlash over alleged associations, losing sponsorships, and watching parts of her own community turn against her. And instead of calming the storm, her apologies seemed to pour gasoline on it. It all started with a clip that set social media on fire. During a live stream, she spoke passionately about how modern society prioritizes money over meaningful human connection, then arguing that capitalism trains people to value profit above all else. On the surface, it wasn't even a terrible take, but critics were quick to point out the irony. The message about materialism was coming from a multi-million-dollar Los Angeles mansion. The contrast was impossible to ignore. This was also just months after she posted a widely mocked video about proposing to herself with a $12,000 engagement ring, fuel for those who felt the anti-capitalist speech rang hollow. Then came the cookie controversy. Pokimane launched a brand of cookies priced at $28 per box, and when fans called them overpriced, things escalated. In defending the product, she made comments that critics interpreted as dismissive toward fans who didn't want to spend nearly $30 on snacks. To make matters worse, online sleuths claimed the cookies were similar to a cheaper existing brand, repackaged with influencer branding. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The same creator criticizing capitalism was now being accused of embodying its most cynical traits. What followed wasn't just a bad week, it felt like a case study in how quickly public sentiment can shift in the creator economy. One viral clip led to scrutiny, scrutiny led to receipts, and receipts led to a narrative that spiraled far beyond a single stream. Whether this becomes a temporary backlash or a lasting turning point remains to be seen. But for now, the crater keeps getting deeper. But the situation only grew more chaotic. During one stream, a viewer called Pokimane a moody socialist billionaire. Instead of laughing it off or ignoring it, she responded with a 14-day ban. Not just like that, gone. To critics, it felt like a thin-skinned reaction from someone already sitting on a multi-million-dollar fortune. The question many began asking was simple. If you believe wealth inequality is such a problem, why wait until some imaginary billionaire threshold to start giving large portions away? Why not now? That frustration wasn't really about her success. Most people agree she earned her platform. What rubbed them the wrong way was the perceived contradiction, denouncing materialism while posting shopping trips on Rodeo Drive, showing off Gucci and Prada, and flexing a designer lifestyle. On stream, viewers began noticing patterns too. She would go live, chat casually, and once the wave of gifted subscriptions slowed down, she'd suddenly remember she had a meeting. To skeptics, the timing felt suspiciously convenient, adding more fuel to the narrative that money always came first. And then the drama escalated beyond lifestyle critiques. Captain Puffy entered the conversation with serious allegations involving her ex, Elem. In a detailed public document, she accused him of emotional manipulation, financial exploitation, and deeply harmful behavior throughout their relationship. The claims were heavy and unsettling, shifting the conversation from hypocrisy and branding to something far more serious. What had started as internet mockery was now tangled in accusations that carried real weight, and the situation surrounding Pokimane felt less like influencer drama and more like a full-blown crisis unfolding in real time. Then the situation took an even sharper turn. According to Captain Puffy, her ex, Anilem, the same person accused of emotional manipulation and financial exploitation, was living with Pokimane as a roommate. Captain Puffy claimed she personally reached out, explained everything in detail, and shared evidence. Pokimane's reported response? Sympathy. That's awful. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And then, nothing changed. Critics argue that despite knowing the allegations, Pokimane continued living with him, collaborating with him, and featuring him in content as if it were business as usual. For many viewers, that's where the disconnect became impossible to ignore. This is the same creator who frequently posts about believing victims, supporting women, and standing against abuse. Yet when accusations surfaced involving someone in her own home, there was no public statement, no visible distancing, just silence. The backlash intensified when Miskiff commented on stream that it bothered him how strongly he had defended her in the past, only to see what he perceived as inconsistency between her words and actions. To critics, the situation reinforced a growing narrative that she presents herself as a moral authority online, but when those principles become personally inconvenient, they seem to fade into the background. Supporters argue there may be private details the public doesn't know. Detractors call it performative activism, saying the right things when it's trending, but avoiding difficult action when it hits close to home. Either way, the controversy has shifted her community's tone. What once felt like isolated criticism has turned into broader skepticism, like with more viewers questioning whether the persona matches the reality behind the scenes. The comment sections on Pokimane's recent videos and streams have become brutal. Viewers aren't buying the relatable, down-to-earth persona anymore. Instead, they see someone who got wealthy through capitalism, lives in extreme privilege, and then lectures fans about being too money-focused, while many are struggling to pay rent. The disconnect is staggering, and it's not just her community noticing, sponsors are starting to pull back as well. When brands distance themselves quietly, it's usually a sign that the situation is serious. The criticism isn't tied to a single incident, it's about a pattern. Luxury living while condemning capitalism, expensive cookies while calling fans broke, virtue signaling while protecting problematic people. As though a carefully curated nice persona that cracks the second things don't go her way. It's less a cancellation and more a cumulative reckoning, one that could have been avoided if she simply lived authentically. Audiences tolerate wealth and flaws, but they reject hypocrisy disguised as moral superiority. Financially, she's probably fine. Millions are already in the bank, and more will come. But her credibility? That's damaged. Her moral authority? Obliterated. And for many, her reputation may never fully recover. The real question now, can she rebuild trust, or is the backlash permanent? Either way, the conversation around her is far from over. The long-term impact on Pokimane's brand could be significant. In the creator economy, audience trust is everything, and once viewers feel manipulated or misled, regaining that trust is incredibly difficult. Fans who once defended her unconditionally are now vocal about feeling betrayed, and in an era where social media amplifies every misstep, the perception of hypocrisy spreads faster than any apology can contain. Even casual observers are starting to question whether her on-stream persona matches reality, and that kind of skepticism can linger for years, shaping how future collaborations, sponsorships, and content are received. This situation also highlights a broader lesson about authenticity in influencer culture. The lines between personal branding, performance, and genuine values are always under scrutiny. Creators who lean too heavily on curated morality or attempt to present themselves as morally superior can find themselves under harsh judgment when actions contradict words. Pokimane's controversies serve as a cautionary tale. Audiences may forgive mistakes, but repeated patterns of perceived hypocrisy erode influence faster than wealth or fame can protect. Moving forward, her response, or lack thereof, will likely determine whether she rebuilds credibility or becomes a permanent example of performative activism gone wrong.